Privyet. Hello everyone. You're on the Slavic News Channel, and in this video, we'll discuss the most significant updates on the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. We have a lot of interesting updates, so let's begin. Let's begin with the western Avdiivka direction. Notably, there have been additional gains on the ground and several key developments to highlight. According to information from pro-Ukrainian mappers, the Russians, as a result of offensive operations, managed to improve their positions and establish complete control over village of Voskod. During the previous few days, the Russians captured Sokol, and few days after, the Russians captured Voskod. The Russians are moving very fast, and according to pro-Ukrainian mappers, the Russians managed to reach this tree line and this intersection of the tree lines in the south of Voskod and to the northwest of Novosolovka Persha. This marks the edge of the Russian positions in this direction. It appears that the primary objective for the Russians is to establish control over these tree lines. Achieving this would allow them to cut off and establish physical and fire control over the main supply roads from Novosolovka Persha to the mainland, specifically towards the village of Zhulana. To summarize, this main supply road is crucial for Ukrainian forces, and it is currently protected by fortifications. However, if the Russians manage to control this area, the supply road will be under their complete fire control, with the distance from potential Russian positions to the road being less than 1.5 kilometers. The Russians' primary goal in this direction seems to be cutting off the main supply roads, encircling Ukrainian forces, and potentially forcing them to either retreat or surrender if encircled. On the other hand, we continue receiving updates from the western part of Karlovka-Vodska Reservoir of how the Russians were hunting and destroying the armored vehicles and positions in the villages of Zalana and Novozalana as well. So, the main supply roads, the main evacuation roads are under complete Russian control. Now, let's move further in direction of progress to the northern part of Sokol. Now let's move to New York-Torotsk agglomeration. We received a lot of interesting updates from this territory. And first, let's take a look at this video that was published yesterday in the evening by pro-Ukrainian sources. And the author of this video reported that in this video the Ukrainians were bombing the Russian positions. And one of the episodes that we might find in this video took place in the vicinity of this building. We have updated the map based on this. Now let's move further. We got a very interesting video from Klishevka. In this video, for example, we can see the Ukrainian attempts of 93rd Mechanized Brigade to counterattack the Russian positions in the southern part of Klishevka. In this video, you can see how the Ukrainians were clearing the territory. We are not sure of the counterattack date and the results, so we are not sure if Ukrainians control the territory. We're going to move to south in Kupin's direction. And today, we got first reports that the Russians entered Makiyevka and that they managed to capture few buildings. We got reports that the Russians were forced to abandon their positions, but then they attacked again. In the upcoming day, Russians will try to dig in deeper before upcoming night. Now let's move to Kharkiv direction. We have a few updates from this territory. The Russians reported that they continue offensive operation in the citadel in Vovchansk, and during the previous night, the Russians managed to improve their positions. In the third day in a row, we continue receiving reports about additional Russian progress to the east of the village of Burgu Vodka. And according to information we have, the Russians managed to bring additional forces in this area and to increase the foothold on this side of Seversky Danets River for additional few kilometers. As for Kharkiv, today we got additional video of how the Russians attacked the city and the consequences of another Russian attack using FAB 500. Yesterday, the head of military authorities of Kharkiv reported that from now on, the Russians have possibilities to attack every area of Kharkiv with FAB. Now let's move to Zolotiv direction. As you can see, we have a lot of geolocations from this territory. First, let's start with the report of Deep State Map. According to them, the village by the name of Sotnitsky Kazachok was captured by the Russians completely, but we haven't received any geolocations confirming this. Also, we've got a lot of videos of how the Russians were bombing Ukrainian positions in this area, a lot of geolocations, lots of artillery strikes. These videos reminds us of an artillery preparation before the beginning of the ground operation. So probably during July, the Russians will launch a limited offensive operation in this direction with the purpose to establish control over some villages like Basova, Odnorobovka, and Yudi. Maybe this is the plan that the Russians are planning to implement during the next few days. In other political news, it is reported that the first American F-16 fighters will be delivered to Ukraine in July, coinciding with the NATO summit. Ukraine is also set to receive a $2.2 billion military aid package from the United States, focusing on air defense missiles. Also on another news, the famous American journalist Tucker Carlson has announced an upcoming interview with Zelensky, where the Ukrainian president is expected to address questions about peace proposals and other significant issues. This concludes our update. Slavic News Channel condemns any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Have a great day. Goodbye.